Welcome to the Wednesday Match Play, your weekly connection to the biggest and best brands in golf. On this show you will learn more about the latest golf fashion trends, hear from LPGA and PGA Tour players, get advice on planning your next golf getaway, and much more. Broadcasting live from Palm Desert, California, now on the tee, Ricky Potts.
It is cold out at Carrollwood Country Club. It's 37 degrees. Being a Florida boy, that's a lot. But he's got a special set of clubs to show you, and it's fitting that it's so cold out because these clubs come from Finland. Head over to letsplaythrough.com. Gabe is taking out the Tacoma 101 Mark II. He's taking these clubs out on course to see how they perform. He's got irons only with an over-under of +3. But first, let's take a closer look at these irons.
Experience the spirit of St. Andrews with Eden Mill. From our award-winning gins and whiskies to our craft beers, every sip tells a story of Scotland's rich tradition and modern innovation. Handcrafted with passion and precision, Eden Mill is more than a drink. It's a celebration of heritage, flavor, and the art of distilling. Perfect for toasting life's moments, big or small. Discover Eden Mill today and raise a glass to Scotland. Eden Mill, raise a glass to Scotland. Learn more at edenmill.com.
Par6 Media is a Vancouver-based golf-focused digital marketing and content production agency. In plain terms, they help golf courses, golf clubs, and golf brands grow their visibility and engagement through modern content and digital strategy. In this episode of the Wednesday Match Play podcast, brought to you by Eden Mill St. Andrews, Colby shares how he got started, the content he was creating on YouTube, the services his company offers, and the process and plans behind their work. He also highlights some of their clients, explains their core values, introduces his team, and reflects on his time working in the film industry. This was an energetic conversation and an honor to have Colby on the show. Let's tee off. I am so pumped for this conversation because we just connected just a couple of days ago, it seems, and we've been chatting offline for a few minutes, and just the energy that you're bringing, this is going to be an awesome conversation. But Colby, welcome to the Wednesday Match Play podcast, brought to you by Eden Mill St. Andrews.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. Thanks for reaching out, and thanks for I mean, this is a quick turnaround. I think we scheduled this like 3 days ago, so I love just jumping in.
Let's go. All right. I mean, it was so funny because as we were just talking, like, not even sure how I found you, but I'm glad that I did because I can just tell. I mean, I've known you for 5 minutes and I feel like I've known you for 20 years, but it's 2026. I mean, how time flies, but Happy New Year to you. And just as we kick things off here in the new year, did you make it to midnight, or are you like me and celebrate, when the ball drops on the East Coast at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think I've celebrated the East Coast ball drop probably for the last 5 years. I think the latest I've been up the last 5 New Years is probably 9:30. So I'm an early to bed, early to rise. So I'm okay with that though. I can celebrate with people on the East Coast.
Fun fact, I watched it at 9 o'clock, fell asleep, woke up at about 11:45, watched it again at midnight, and then I went to bed.
That's the way to do it.
Well, tell me more about Par6 Golf Media. Where did the idea come from, and what problem are you trying to solve here from creating this business?
Yeah, Par6 evolved from I was actually doing YouTube videos. In about 2012, I started doing YouTube videos that were golf based. So I was doing videos that were like golf tips. I was doing videos that were product reviews. And, honestly, I did about a dozen videos, and I started having brands reaching out, asking if they could use the videos. I had a brand reach out that said, "Hey, could we license this video?" They came back a few months later and said, "Hey, we've got another product. Can you make some videos for this product?" And that just kept kind of evolving and evolving. And the brand was Golfers RX. They had an email list of about 1 million people, I think. And I worked with them for about 7 years off the side of my desk, making like 100 videos a year for them, probably. Uh, all on YouTube, all for their website. And that's where I cut my teeth. And eventually I kind of said, like, I should just do this full time. Like, why am I not doing this full time? So that evolved into starting Par 6 January 2020, just in time for the pandemic, which was like perfect timing. Uh, but the problem that I was trying to solve at the time, when I first started, the problem I was trying to solve was the stuff that I saw online. I found it, no offense to any of those content creators way back then, but I found the content really long and kind of boring. So I just wanted to bring some fun. I wanted to bring some humor. I wanted to bring some I wanted to entertain people more than anything with this content, and I wanted to make it short and punchy, and I wanted to bring my film and TV background to it and just kind of punch it up a little bit. So that's how I got to Par Six from way back in 2012, and then Par Six. I mean, we're going to get into it here in these other questions, but Par Six has evolved over the last 6 years quite a bit. So yeah, it started with simple YouTube videos way back when.
Yeah, good time to start a business right before a worldwide pandemic. So glad that
Yeah.
he made it through it though, because I think we are, while it's still relevant, it's not as relevant as it was, and I think we're kind of on the other side of that. But what are some of the services that you're offering to your clients today? And if a club or a brand comes to you, what can they expect from Par Six?
Yeah, we've evolved quite a bit over the last 6 years. Right now, we offer like full service digital agency across all of our clients. Depending on what the client is, like, we may start with, if their messaging isn't especially strong, we'll start with a branding workshop. So we'll create a brand identity for them. We'll go from there. We'll build out a website, build out a full encompassing strategy that covers content creation, the photo and video assets, social management, paid advertising, SEO, AEO, campaign build outs. We'll do campaign build outs or package build outs for those clubs. And then after that, it's like we're just constantly optimizing that network. It's, whether it's landing pages or ads or blogs, um, packages for them, and then it's just a constant running machine. There's no stopping. When I first started, we were just a production house, and it was like October to, April, or October to March was quieter. And I find now that our busy season is really the off season. It's when we start preparing for the season. And so it's just this constant cycle of learn, iterate, execute over and over again. So, we cover everything when it comes to full service digital agency, from content creation to social to SEO to websites to brand identity. Everything's in there.
Well, it's a lot of different things that you're offering, and we'll talk about some of those here today. And but golf course photography is just such an important part of a golf course. We just did a $16 million renovation here at the Springs in Rancho Mirage. I was a part of the renovation at the last club that I was at. The club before that feels like every club's going through a reno. But there are so many golf course photographers out there, and some of them have actually become really good and close friends of mine. I mean, names like Channing Benjamin and Bill Hornstein. What makes Par 6 different from the rest when it comes to the golf course photography?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, there's so many good people out there now. There's so many good content creators out there. You got Christian Hafer and all those guys at Golfers Journal, Matt Hahn, and you've got there's tons of guys. So we don't do production in-house anymore. It's definitely how we started. Or not that we don't do production in-house. We're not a production house anymore. We're not content first. Um, I started as photos and videos as an offering, but I think what set me apart in the beginning was my film and TV background. That storytelling element I felt that was missing from all of this. Not just a pretty photo, not just, a quick clip. There was a story there. There was a beginning and a middle and an end. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. What sets Par Six apart when it comes to content creation? I would say it's probably the storytelling aspect. That's really what our focus is, and it's really what our focus has been the last couple of years, and it's one of our primary focuses this year in 2026.
If a club has a limited budget, where do you typically recommend they start? I mean, you're offering a lot of different services here. I mean, are you starting with the high quality photos, maybe short form video, drone footage? I mean, I love drone footage. I mean, something else like, or does it depend on what the client needs?
Yeah, 100%. It all depends on what the client needs. And there's sometimes when we'll tell them like, this isn't something that we think that you should come and work with us and do. It's like, we'll recommend, other people that they should go and work with if they're just looking for something smaller. If they had a limited budget, and depending on what their objective was, there's sometimes when I'd recommend just, instead of spending your money on, a giant photo and video package, I would say maybe spend your money on ads. Like if you're trying to drive tea times, or if you're trying to apply or trying to drive some stay in plays, and you don't have the budget, I would really, I would start on like pushing some like demand to your website and demand to your booking system. Obviously, that needs to be supported with some sort of creative, but I don't think people need to go out necessarily in the beginning and go and spend, 10, 20, $30,000 on a whole bunch of content. Because, to be honest with you, the reason that Par 6 evolved into where it was, when I started, I was just doing photo and video. I started out doing photo and video for a whole bunch of clubs. And I remember this one club came back to me after a year and said, "Hey, we want to do some more photos and videos." And I was like, "Well, what happened to the ones we did last year? Like I haven't seen them. I haven't like have you been using them in any kind of marketing? Have you been using them for email? I haven't seen them on social. I haven't seen them in ads or anything like that." And they're like, we're not really sure what to do with them. So I was like, okay, we need to step back here and like actually assess what it is that you want to use these photos and videos for, and what the plan is at the end of the day. So that's how we started to evolve, because if you don't have a plan for your content and you don't know why you're doing it, then that's probably step number one. So we do spend a lot of time with uh with potential clients asking why it is that they're doing what they're doing.
I love how on your website you've outlined your process like it's a round of golf. I mean, marking the ball and reading the green and sinking the putt. What a neat idea. Can you break down your process and why you structured it that way? Like that's marketing in itself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is going to be gone in 2 weeks. I think that's about 3 or 4 years old. So that's going to be completely wiped out. We're actually replacing that. We've got a new website that's been designed. It's in development right now. So we should be launching a new website here in the next couple weeks, maybe mid-February, with some more marketing materials. Uh, yeah, it is fun. Again, that's evolved a little bit too. We look at our process into, we clump it into four categories, really. The first category is diagnose. So we want to go in and we want to, if we're working with someone, we diagnose their competition. So what is their competition around them doing? What competition is competing exactly for their tea time inventory or their stay and play inventory? Who are their audience segments? Where are people driving from? Where are people searching them from? Some demand analysis, their revenue opportunities. So what we do in the beginning is we get really deep. So we ask them for their round and room night inventory uh, per day. So we want to see like every single day, what was January 1st? What was your inventory for golf January 1st, 2025? And then how many rounds did you actually book? And we do that for room nights as well. And then we also look at how much they made per category each day. So we go really, really deep when it comes to the diagnose portion of bringing on a client. Because we at the end of the day we want to see where the leaks are. We want to see where the soft spots are before we start marketing. We don't want to just start spraying and praying. We want to be very intentional with our marketing and where their ad dollars go, and where we're pushing their message out to and who we're pushing it out to. So after we do all the diagnosis, then we go into our differentiate process. And that's the brand identity. If we think that they have a weak message or they're not really sure what their messaging is, we'll come in and we'll build a brand identity out for them. That's messaging, uniques, their core values, everything that makes them different is what we look at when it comes to the differentiations. And then this is also the time that we start building out their photo and video library. And then from that, we go to deploy, the distribution time. So we launch their website design and development is in this, social playbooks, email automation, email campaigns. We build out campaigns as a whole, paid ads. And then after that, it's just the cycle of optimization, reporting, landing page optimization, demand analysis, revenue lifts where we can help them, campaign refinement, and then just constant recommendations. And then sentiment as well. As much as we're, a marketing agency, we really want to help them on the operations side as well. So we'll do sentiment value and be like, okay, here are the great things that people are saying about you. Like, let's double down on that. Here are the here are the top three negative things that people are saying about you. How can we help support you in making changes here and improve your rating score? So diagnose, differentiate, deploy, and optimize. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, Ricky. I'm not even sure what our current website says when it comes to the process. I haven't actually looked at it in quite a while. So,
Well, good timing for me to ask about that and how much I like that. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to change it. That's awesome. Well, that experience for the client that you're walking us through from, I mean, what is that for the client's perspective from the first conversation to the final delivery and the activation? What happens maybe step by step in a website project or I mean, just so many different angles that you could take with that. But what is it going to be like for me as the client?
yeah, that's a good question. What does the experience feel like for the client? Usually our first conversation, is our first conversation really is why are we having this conversation? Like, why are we here? What's your biggest issue? Is it a lack of rounds? Is it a lack of stay in plays? Are you having problems selling events? We spend a lot of time on what the issue or issues are, and that's really going to dictate what we do. But our biggest thing is feedback, or our biggest thing is communication. Like, we are in constant communication with the client. So when it comes to, say, like a website, you know, we we sit down, we send out a survey that's probably, 50 questions that really digs into, like, what kind of feel is it? Do you have a current brand kit or a current style guide? Um, we ask a ton of questions, and then we sit down with them and we go over the questions, and we build out uh, kind of mood board type stuff of what this website is going to look like, what it's going to feel like, the customer journey. We go back to them and make sure, like, is this on the page that you're looking at? And then from there, we go out and we build in behind the scenes, but we always have touch points with the client. We want to make sure that the client, one, that they're being heard, and that, they're gonna get the product that they're paying for at the end of the day. And when it's like comes to our full service, when it comes to our full service package, at the end of the day, we want to make the marketing managers, and we want to make the GMs, we want them to feel like rock stars. So when they go to their annual general meeting to an owner or to a board of directors, like, they're going back and saying, like, our revenue jumped X amount this past year, and we want to make sure that it's really easy for them to have these conversations with boards and with owners of the resorts or clubs that they're at, and really just take this stuff off their plate. We want them to be able to have the time to go and do their day to day. That's our biggest thing. It's like, we don't want them to worry about what we're doing. We want to be able to take all the stress of marketing off their plate, because I know, like, a lot of places, GMs or their assistants, or maybe there's a group of people at the golf club, they're all doing the marketing. And it's kind of a Frankenstein of a whole bunch of pieces, because no one's really speaking the same language, no one's really on the same page. And so the stress of that gets alleviated when you work with someone like us. And like I say, though, that the number one thing that we want everyone to feel good about is the communication that we have with them.
I've spent my career in high-end private clubs, and it seems like every club has a mission statement and a vision statement and values. Tell me more about your values at Par Six.
Yeah, I love this question. You know, I, I take our core values pretty seriously. I mean, as seriously as someone like me can take anything. But we take our core values pretty seriously. It's not just like a live, laugh, love decal that hangs on the wall for decoration. We take these to heart. We have core values, And these values, it's, I mean, truly, I hire and fire by these values. We review them as a team every year, every quarter, sorry. We work on a operating system called EOS. That's how I run the business. So we review these core values every quarter. I ask for feedback on whether these are still our core values and whether we're actually living by them. And they're also part of my performance reviews that I do with the team. So, our first core value is we strive to be better every day. Just that 1% better rule. If we can just get like 1% better every day, we don't need to hit home runs. I tell the team that. It's like we don't have to hit home runs every single time we go out. Let's just get a whole bunch of base hits. If we can get a whole bunch of base hits and drive runs in, like we're gonna kill it. So just like 1% better every day. Let's just strive to be better. The next one is teamwork makes the dream work. And this is just like we don't want to leave a team hanging, a teammate hanging. Where no one has to work on an island by themselves. Everyone rolls up their sleeves, everyone helps out, everyone's working together. The third one is this one sounds corny, but it's we're good people, right? We don't take ourselves seriously, but we take our work seriously. Um, and it's interesting. This one is interesting because like, we're good people. I find that, I've worked with people who aren't good people and, you don't want to work with them. And I think that we've truly brought on clients. I know for a fact that, we've been the least experienced uh, agency that put in a proposal, but we got the job because I think people just they want to work with us because we're good. We're good people. We're fun people. We're fun to be around. So that's a good one for us. And then probably our most important core value is that we do what's right, not what's easy. And that's all about accountability. And it's like, we're going to make mistakes. I've made a million mistakes building this company. I make mistakes every day still. Uh, but if you're not breaking shit, I don't think you're actually learning. I don't think you can learn. You're not experimenting. So I tell my team, like, go and make mistakes, but make sure that you're like the first one to raise your hand and say, hey, this happened, and here's what I think we should do about it. Or, come to me and say, hey, this happened. I'm not 100% sure what to do about this. Can we talk this out? So, yeah, we make decisions with our core values in mind all the time. And they're not just decoration on the wall. We really take these to heart. I think they're important. I think they're important for any business. If you don't have, some guiding core values, it's really hard to make decisions on who you work with, how you work with them, how you make decisions. It's really important.
So you just said about five quotes there that are hanging on my wall that I am a huge quotes guy, and I will create custom graphics of things that pop up and hang them on my bulletin board that I look at all day every day. And I wrote down what you said. We do what's right, not what's easy. I'm gonna write that down and create a graphic of that. One that's sticking with me from the last couple of weeks is a goal without a daily plan is just a wish, and
Yep.
progress comes from small actions repeated long enough to turn effort into momentum. And I love what you talked about the 1% and the Atomic Habits. I'm sure you've read that book.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's such a good book.
Like what
Yeah.
an idea, 1% better. And I look at that and if I go to work, silly example, but it just happened a couple of days ago. I go to work and I'm sitting in a conference room and I see a trash can in the corner and it had like when you go and you buy a trash can, it's got like the sticker on the outside with the vendor's name on it or whatever. And the assumption is that you buy the trash can, you take it home and you take that sticker off. Well, the person that had put the trash can there hadn't. So if I went to work that day and all I did was notice that, take that sticker off and discard it and put that trash can back, that was that's progress. I look at that as being 1% better. And I just love that you live that and that you have those core values and just that just warms me up, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the core values really they really are important. I can't stress that enough, and how much we revisit them as a team and how much they really drive who we have on the team. Everyone lives by these rules. And yeah, the 1% better, like, I tell my team, I use the analogy of just hitting base, getting base hits. We don't have to hit the home runs here, and it's just like just get 1% better every day and just get those base hits every day because that's going to make a difference. That's going to make a difference in the score in the long run.
Who are some of your clients today? I mean, clubs, brands, any other categories that you want to highlight?
Yeah, we don't work with a lot of brands anymore, which is funny because that's how I started out. All I did was work with brands. We only work with one brand now, but we've said no to a lot of brands just because it's not our wheelhouse. After working with a lot of people, we just found like this just isn't our wheelhouse. This isn't our expertise. We don't work with a lot of private clubs anymore. We've got a couple legacy private clubs that we work with. Our main focus is public courses and destination resort courses. That's our sweet spot. That's our wheelhouse. We know that if a club comes to us that hits those categories, we know that we can make a difference. And we know exactly what it is that we're going to do. Um, and it's like one of those things where it's like we know that we can sink our teeth into it. So like when it comes to the private clubs, we'll work with private clubs, but we really want them to be coming to us with like, we want to do a membership drive or something like that. The two private clubs that we work with are Capilano and Point Grey, like two of my first clients. I started with Point Grey just doing content for them. They've got like a 7 year wait list. So it's not like they need a whole bunch of help, marketing their product. Capilano, same thing. I think their wait list is even longer. We started doing social media for them, but those ones I hold, really near and dear to my heart because they're the ones that helped Par Six start. They took a chance on working with us, and because of their name and notoriety in Western Canada, it helped us get more clients. So, really the public courses and destination resort courses is what we're working with. And like right now, it's like we're working with Cabot Revelstoke. So we're helping them build out their story on the new course that Rod Whitman is building up there. Chambers Bay, part of the Kemper Sports portfolio. Dismal River is one that we just brought on. That's part of the Kemper Sports portfolio as well that we're working with. Running Y, and then the number one golf course in BC, Sagebrush. And you said that you hadn't come up and played golf in Canada. You need to come up and play Sagebrush. It's next level.
Well, I am excited to come up there and play some golf. I've got so many friends in Canada, and it's so wild. And a lot of the members here in the Coachella Valley are from where you're from on the west coast of Canada. So all of the signs are pointing that I need to come visit.
Yeah, you do. You do. So, yeah, those are some of the clubs. And then, we work with a lot of mom and pop clubs, like mom and pop resort clubs that are privately owned. And yeah, they're just a lot of fun because we get to sink our teeth into it. And they lend they give us a lot of trust. And so we can go in there and, we feel like we can go in there and make a lot of difference. Whereas when we were working with brands, we felt that like we couldn't make as much difference as we wanted to. And when people are paying the amount that they're paying every month, it's hard to justify that. And so we usually tell them to, we'll give them recommendations on agencies to go and work with when a brand comes in and seeks us out.
Can you tell me more about your team, who does what, and how the workload is divided up?
Yeah, I mean, everyone says this, right? I've got an amazing team. I know everyone says that, but my team really is amazing. My team can totally beat any other team in trivia night. I mean, we've got the receipts, we've got the awards to prove it. I've got a really fun team. My first hire was Tanner Thompson. Right before I had my first business entrepreneur meltdown, I was a one-man show, so I brought Tanner on to start running social for me. And then from there, we built out. Ben came on as VP of Business Development, Ben Magnuson. So he does all of our outreach. He's really the one that's bringing in new business for us. Uh, Tara Wellsbury was project. She when she first came to us, she came as a project manager because when we first started, we were doing just a ton of projects. We weren't really monthly recurring revenue focused. We were doing a ton of projects, so we needed a project manager. That's since changed now, and she's an account manager. Overseeing I think eight or nine accounts. And then Ryan, after that, Ryan came on, so we needed another social media manager and an ads manager. So he's dialed in with ads. And then Beth came on. Beth Baker came on. She was actually working for a client, and she put her name in the bucket, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if we should be hiring someone who's actually working for a current client. But she was so good. She's got lots of golf course experience, private club experience, has been around golf her entire life. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like we'd love to hire you. I said, is this going to cause some problems with, the club? And she's like, yeah, maybe. And yeah, sure enough, they fired us. Like I think it was like 3 months later or something like that. But you know what? I'll be honest, totally worth it. I would do it over again a million times because she's just an absolute rock star. And then another social media manager, Zach, who has proven just to be like a data analyst whiz. So, we've got some crazy talent on the team. Three social media managers, two account managers, uh, business development, and then I'm, running the business, but also I get my hands dirty in every department. I hope I'm not, but I'm probably the guy that goes in and asks questions, and I'm the bottleneck of the company because I want to be into everything. And then we have a whole bunch of crazy talented contractors that we work with too, which is a lot of fun.
You spent time in the film industry. Tell me more about that chapter of your career, what kind of work you were doing, and maybe did you work on any films or shows or projects that we might recognize?
Yeah, the film industry, that was a fun period of life. I moved to the big city of Vancouver from small town Alberta and went to Vancouver Film School. In the yeah, I think it's like a decade and a half that I was in it, and I worked mostly in front of the camera. Then I, started doing some writing and directing and creating my own content. Uh, but the first thing I ever booked was Freddy versus Jason. So yeah, it's most of the stuff that I shot, or most of the stuff that I was in was most of the shows in Vancouver, which is like Supernatural, Smallville, um, Battlestar Galactica, blah 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 blah. And then I did some absolutely horrendous TV movies, which I think most people do when they're starting out. Here's some good titles. NYC Tornado Terror was a good one. Iron Golem, great TV movie. Ogre. But yeah, I did some cool stuff though. It was fun. I grew up riding horses, so I got to do a lot of cool, fun period pieces and westerns. And I got to say, like being in the film industry, doing what I was doing, especially towards the end when I was creating my own work and writing and directing and being behind the camera, it really honed my writing and my storytelling skills and really my filming skills. So a lot of the work that I was doing at that time really informed the early days of you know my early golf marketing, my YouTube stuff, and then still today, when it comes to the storytelling aspect and the video editing, uh, really was honed when I was doing film and TV.
When you talk about Vancouver, I mean, I feel like they film a lot of TV shows up there and a lot of movies. I mean, my wife went up there to see filming locations for a show with David Duchovny, and like it's just wild. Like she's like
The
sitting in this coffee
X-Files.
shop from the X-Files. Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't follow that stuff, but she knew exactly where to go and where to sit and pose for the photos.
Yeah, Vancouver has, I mean, it's a huge film industry up there. I mean, they use it for everything. Even if it's just like, specific shots here and there. But yeah, there's been some massive stuff up there and some really good shows. I mean, now it's like I think Vancouver is known for, the Hallmark Christmas movies. They shoot a ton of Hallmark Christmas movies up there. So for all you Hallmark fans out there, yeah, Vancouver's the spot.
You offer drone photos and videos, and I feel like everybody needs a drone because those photos and videos are awesome. What kind of drones are you using, and kind of what kind of technology do you see that has transitioned into that industry over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean the drones have gotten so good. I mean, right now, like we use we use, just the DJI Mavic Pro of whatever it is, whether it's the two, three, or four, whoever's on site doing that stuff. But the consumer drones that you can get now, even I mean, even if they're costing 10, 15 grand, way back when that would have cost you, you wouldn't have been able to, you would have had to get that footage from a helicopter. Like these drones have made it so accessible to get really cinematic stuff out of golf courses. And I think like the Inspire, like DJI has the Inspire, and I think all Brian Orr stuff is shot with an Inspire. It just looks so good. Having a lens, having a prime lens that allows you to compress the landscape, it just makes everything pop that much more. It makes it really, really cinematic. When I first started, Par Six, I was using like a $600. I wasn't using like a $5,000, $10,000 camera kit. I didn't have like a $5,000 drone. Like my camera was like a $600 camera with a kit lens. And I didn't even have a drone actually when I first started. I was like, oh God, I need to get one. I need to get into this. Um, the stuff that has changed I mean, cameras, it's evolving every day. There's AI that's being put into cameras, so lighting and exposure and the color science that goes behind it is just improving so much more. But the drone stuff, the accessibility that content creators and clubs and brands have to being able to get some really cinematic stuff it's next level. It's really fun. And some of the stuff that's coming out it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
What about battery life? I mean, I feel like when they first came out, you could only fly it for a few minutes, but I mean, can I put a drone up and have it up there for 10, 15, 20 minutes now? Is the battery life getting better?
Yeah, some of them I think they're like 45 minutes. Like if you have a DJI Mavic, I think it was the Mavic 3, I think had like a 45-minute lifespan on it, something like that. Half an hour. Half an hour is probably the going rate. The Inspire, like the bigger ones, the Inspire, when you've got a heavier load with bigger cameras, it's gonna be shorter. But like when you're filming that stuff, you may go up and grab a couple photos here or there, and you may get like one clip, unless like one quick clip, 3 5 second clip, unless you're doing flyovers. So, you don't need to be up in the air that much for that long. But yeah, like the battery life, you can float around for half an hour now. It's kind of fun.
Are you working with any influencers? And if so, are those people that are on your staff or that you have relationships with? And how are you using those to help influence your clients?
Yeah, we don't have any influencers on staff. I mean, I guess when I looked up influencers, there was one of my staff, Tanner, came up as an influencer when I chat GPT'd influencers in the area. But we don't use any influencers. We don't use any influencers on staff. We'll partner with influencers for specific things with golf clubs. It's not something that we seek out a whole bunch. We haven't found honestly, we haven't found that we've seen a big lift using influencers. And we did a survey. We did a survey last year. We surveyed about 8,000 golfers last year, and influencers was one of the lowest things on the totem pole when it came to what influenced your decision to go and play a golf course. And I think it comes down to people make the decision. And then, especially if it's a bucket list trip, then I think they go to the YouTube and they go and seek out like, okay, what is this going to look like? How am I going to play this hole? Or how are we going to, plan this trip? So influencers aren't something that are big on our radar. But again, it all depends on the client. It all depends on what the client needs and what the client wants and what works best for the client. So, we did a big influencer trip out to Sagebrush last year. I think we had eight or 10 influencers out there. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. And if that's what's called for at a club, then yeah, we'll absolutely bring in influencers for sure.
There is a lot of competition in what you're doing. I mean, just drone photography alone, you can list a handful of people in the world that are good at that. But I mean, you're doing a lot of different things and a lot of different services. How are you standing out to differentiate yourself in such a crowded space? And what do you believe maybe your competitive advantage is?
Hmm. Um, that's a good question. How do we stand out? Yeah, honest, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't pay attention to the competition, right? I always have and still do. Just we march to the beat of our own drum. We have our own strategy. We focus. Our focus is to execute on that strategy, as opposed to creating a strategy based on what our competitors are doing. But that being said, I would say that the one thing that does make us stand out, that we're revenue driven. So I think it's really easy. Like we're revenue first. Our biggest flex is that these last 2 years, we've helped our clients generate double the industry average when it comes to revenue. Like 2024 in Canada, the revenue growth for the average golf club was 8%, and the clients that worked with us saw an average of 17%. And this past year, our clients saw an average of 23%. So like that right there is our sales slide. And it's a really easy conversation to have with a client when we're having those conversations. We're not coming in trying to sell, you know, some pretty photos and some cool videos, which are still part of what we do. But we really want to sit down and be like, hey, we can help you with your problem. And it starts with revenue. And so I think that that's our competitive advantage, is that we're coming in and we're having conversations with the operators saying like, do you want to make an extra 500 grand next year? Do you want to make an extra million in stay in place? Like we want to help you do that. And I think that's where we work best. That's where I would say is our competitive advantage.
I work at the Springs Community Association here in Rancho Mirage. Let's say that I wanted to work with you on something, but I'm not sure what I need. I have ideas of maybe a new website, maybe I need some drone photos, maybe I need some lifestyle shots. Could we schedule a discovery call just to figure out what makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We'll sit down and talk about where you are and where you want to be and all your goals and the issues that you're having. But it all depends on the goals of the club, right? Sometimes after the call, we'll tell them that, we're probably not the best fit for them, but here are 5 recommendations and here are the contacts. You should go and speak to them, um, depending on what it is. I think over the last 12 months, I think we've probably, turned away more potential clients than we've brought on. And I think the main thing is because, I don't want to bring on clients specifically just to boost our revenue. I want us to bring on clients that we're making a difference. We're going in and making a difference. Because that's the only time that it's really that fun, when you can go in and be like, this is where we started and this is where we ended. And that was, we made a difference here and that was a lot of fun. So we do discovery calls all the time with potential clients and really figure out what it is that they need. And then we'll tell them like, based on what we're talking about, it sounds like this is what you need and this is what we can offer you. Or, what, this is what someone else offers and they would be a perfect fit for you guys.
A website is obviously a big part of a club. Here at the Springs, we use Club Essential for our website and our back end. We're moving later this year to North Star. Let's say I wanted to hire you to do a website redesign. Do you work with those vendors and can you partner with them to allow us to use their systems but incorporate your designs?
Yeah, yeah. We do. We work with a handful of third-party vendors. You know, to be perfectly candid, I think that, their template sites, most of them are not good. A bunch of them are crap. They're templated sites, and it's like, they're one size fits all, and unfortunately, not every club is one size fits all. And you know that you're on one as soon as you land on one. But all the money for these websites are for the back end. They've got most of them have these amazing back ends for member communications, their POS system, their T sheets, and so on. So what we do, it's the same thing. What we do is we build a site in front of that integrates with their back end. That way you can have a completely customizable website on the front end without disturbing the back end into the members portal or whatever it is that's on the back end that you need. But yeah, I mean, we we work with vendors in the way that we'll build a website in front of theirs and then integrate their back end with our website. That's the easiest way to make it work. to try and build a website on their platforms, we found very, very difficult. And we actually don't even try anymore. We build it completely separate and then just integrate their portal into our websites.
Where did the name Par 6 come from? I'm not sure I've ever played a Par 6. I know they're out there. And I love the logo. I'd be curious how many versions of that you saw before he decided on the final design.
Uh, yeah, par six. Um, me and my business partner batted around a bunch of a bunch of names, a bunch of ideas. We had ideas. We really started looking at, or I anyway, started looking at like caddy or looper. Something that was like something on the golf course that assists the golfer, something that's like there to help them and guide them around. But I think he had brought par six up, and it just had a nice ring to it. It was just like it was short, it was simple, it was memorable, it was unique. And then I think like what really sold me was he was like, oh yeah, and like you could have a logo that was or a shortened name that was like P6R for stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I like that. It's short and simple and memorable. The logo, on the other hand, it's only had two iterations actually. The first one, the first one was just par six. Like it was just the words. We didn't really spend a lot of time on a logo. We didn't really spend a lot of money doing anything with any branding in the beginning. We threw up a really simple website, put together like a really just simple logo. Um, but then I started playing around with I had this vision of a flag stick that was integrated into a six. And yeah, God, the first iterations were awful. I was just doing it myself. They were awful. They were just like really mechanical and ugly and awkward. And yeah, it just eventually it landed on to what it is now. And uh yeah, I mean, I like it. It's a fun little logo. It looks good on merch too.
That corn husk logo is fire. I'm from Indiana, so you can take my word for it.
Yeah, the Cornhusker one, we did that for a client. That was a ton of fun. Um, it's something that I had in my mind as soon as we started working with them. We did a brand identity pack, a workshop with them, and then that turned into, brand styling and a website. I have to say, it was met with a lot of resistance at first. They came back to us. We gave them, I think, like three or four options of different logos. They came back to us. They wanted a monogram. They wanted CGCC. And I was like, guys, oh, come on, you're killing me here. That could be anyone, anywhere in the world. Like, let's not do this. Let's not do this. And then I brought up like Cabot Citrus Farms, Cabot Cliffs, Sleepy Hollow, Ohope. I was like, these are memorable. Like, more than anything, like your logo is a great story. Your logo is going to be the one that tells the story. And a monogram's is not going to say anything. So like let's rethink this, rethink the corn husk. And thankfully they went for it. And it looks great. I mean, I'm really proud of that one. I'm jazzed up about that one.
Take a look at our logo at the Springs, and I'd love your thoughts, not now, but I'd love your thoughts on that logo and what ideas you would have of how we could enhance that. And I'm sure you could look at our website and maybe suggest a full rebranding, but just be curious your thoughts on our logo.
Yeah, I'll take a look for sure after this. I'll jump in there and see what you have.
You guys are really active on Instagram. I love your content, and not really a question, but just well done and keep it up.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, to be honest, I feel like we're like every other marketing agency where we market for our clients and we do very little for ourselves. And I think I went a full year there where I didn't put anything on Instagram or at least on the feed. But yeah, we're back up and running and we've got some great content. We've got some great clients to share. So I'm excited to push some stuff out this year.
Are there any specific industry shows or conferences or creators or resources that you follow to help keep your work fresh, or are you just kind of doing your own thing?
Yeah, no, not because I'm not a fan. I mean, I follow a lot of content creators. Like I say, um, Jason Young, is it Yonke? Jason Yonke, and uh, the guys at Golfers Journal. even Matt Janella and BioCinema, like there's some great content creators out there. My team probably has like specific people that they follow, but I follow more business people than the creative stuff these days. Um, you know, and I try not to take inspiration from our industry if I don't have to. I've told the team like I really want them to look outside the golf industry for inspiration. Like what are small coffee shops doing, or what are boutique hotels, or what's the ski industry doing? What are soccer teams doing? Like what are these smaller businesses that don't have thousands of dollars to spend on creative but are really creative? What are they doing out there? Stuff that's otherwise I feel like if we're looking within the industry for inspiration, we might just be regurgitating the same thing over and over again. So if we can keep it fresh and bring some ideas from outside the industry, that's really where I would start looking. But for me personally, yeah, I just follow a bunch of business people. I'm kind of boring that way.
Hey, I'm not too far behind you. I'm not looking at a lot of industry stuff as much as I'm listening to just, I mean, dance music podcasts more than anything. But I know that has nothing to do with business or clubs. But
But that's where the interest lies, right? So
yeah,
it's like you kind of follow that interest. Not that I'm not interested. I mean, I've golf has been a huge part of my life, forever and a day. So I'll always have golf creators in my feed, but yeah, I'm not typically seeking them out. And obviously I've got like, my fan favorites that I'm always looking at to see where they are and what they're doing and who they're working with. And because it's just fun. I'm like I'm a champion. I love to prop those guys up, and I think that, some of those guys do just like absolutely amazing work.
I'm gonna give a shout out to three of my favorites, and I'm gonna start with At the Table with Patrick Lencioni, and super short 15-20 minute episodes that are incredible. The Minimalist, and if you don't know these guys, they are just absolutely incredible. And it's not about just removing everything from your life, but it's about intention and intentionality. And then one of my favorite podcasts that I'm listening to right now, he's actually a dear friend of mine, but it's the Mental Toughness podcast with Dr. Rob Bell. And it's neat that he and I have played golf together, and just like the way he asks questions and the way that he's influenced me as a podcast host. So check those out if you get a little free time in your podcast schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. I love seeking out new podcasts. I find that sometimes I get into a habit of just listening to the same three, and so it's hard to find new podcasts too. It's like where do you start? So it's always nice to get recommendations.
And one more, and I haven't even listened to it because I read the book, and Mel Robbins wrote a book called The Let Them Theory. And if you haven't read it, it changed my life. And I'm not kidding, it literally changed my life. And what, not now, on one day offline, I'd love to share how I read and consume books. But she has a podcast, and it's like an hour and a half episodes. And I say that as a guy that's hosting a podcast, as an hour and a half episodes. But I'd love it if she was able to create that message of the Let Them Theory and put it into 15-20 minute episodes. And one small thing that I do with podcasts that are spoken word is I listen to them at 1.5 speed. So I can get through the content. I still hear what they're saying, but I get through the content faster. So life hack.
Smart. Smart. Yeah, I've heard a lot about this Mel Robbins book. So many people have brought it up. Let them, and yeah, it's something I definitely have to. It's on my reading list, so I've got a bunch of books on my reading lists right now. So
Your work has a certain feel to it. I mean, it's a vibe. Is that intentional?
yeah, I think. Again, I think it comes from my film background. Really, I think that it comes from the storytelling and really the the pacing. I think, you know, especially when it comes to video, I think that like, telling a story is one thing, but I think that like the pacing in a story is really can really help drive home certain points or drive home your messaging. But yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's something that I've just developed over time, and I want the videos that I create. I want them to be cinematic. I want them to be telling a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's storytelling is like I said before, storytelling is our big priority, and I think that goes a long way. But yeah, I mean, it's a vibe. Yeah, I'll take that as a huge compliment. It's just I don't think I know any other way to do it. So thank you.
people who work in the golf business don't really play golf. I mean, I do because that's why I work in the golf business. What about you? Do you get to play much golf?
I don't golf a whole bunch during the season. I go on a guy's trip. I go on a guy's trip with the same group of guys every spring. Sometimes we do a second one in the fall. So I do that preseason, and then I do a family and friends golf trip in the fall, and then possibly a second golf trip with friends. And then yeah, like I kind of bounce around in the summer, so I'll try and get a round in here, there, and everywhere. It kind of goes in spurts. I'll golf 3 or 4 times in a row, and then I won't golf for 3 weeks, and then I'll golf a couple times, and then I won't golf for 4 weeks, and so it comes in dribs and drabs, but I try and get out. It's still, I mean, it's my number one passion. So it's gotta, I have to make time for it.
When you are playing, and this is always fun because I like trying different golf balls, but what golf ball are you playing? I mean, it's always neat to hear what other golfers are using.
I would say currently, I mean, it's whatever's in my bag, probably, usually. I don't take myself too seriously anymore, but it's usually like a Bridgestone or a Titleist. So like a, Pro V1X or something like that. But like Penfold used to be a client. And I still have like a few cases of Penfold golf balls. So I'll have like a few of those always sitting in my bag, and I'll pull those out. And to be honest, they're a pretty good ball. They're fun little balls. So yeah.
The Max Fly golf ball that just re-entered the market about 18 months ago. I don't skip on that. It's solid.
Man, I remember the Max Fly. So I played college golf down in Phoenix. And so, I think that before I went, I was a Max Fly guy. I was always playing the Max Fly HT. Like that was such a good ball. The old Balata. And then, when our team, or I probably the that entire, community college system was sponsored by Titleist. So we had the Titleist Balata. But the Max Fly is such a good ball. I haven't played the new one yet. But I should try that out.
Where did you go to school in Phoenix? I spent 5 years there.
I went and walked on at Mesa Community College. I didn't have the ambition or the grades to get a scholarship. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I had family down there, and I said, well, I'm just going to go down and see if I can like get on a team. Like, why not? What else am I going to do? I wasn't really looking to go to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for education. So I was like, I'm just going to go down and golf. And yeah, I ended up making the team. And uh, yeah, it's the funny thing is that I went down there because I was like, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to play with a bunch of people that I don't know, and new guys, new competition. And it was a bunch of guys that I played with in junior golf growing up. It was like, oh yeah, every team at least had one guy that I'd played with, playing junior golf growing up. So it was kind of funny. It was a lot of fun.
As a club operator, we thrive on feedback, the good and the bad. What sort of feedback have you received from clients over the years, and how are you using that to get 1% better every day?
Yeah, hmm, I would say probably the feedback that we've gotten in the past that we really, really work on is communication. Our account managers are, our single point of accountability for each client. And, you know, we understand that people are busy during the season, and we try not to communicate with them too much. But that's something that we learned early on, because when I was a one-man show, I mean, I was all over the place. I would go and do some work for a client, and they might not have heard from me for like 3 weeks after the fact, which is not how you run a business. It's the exact opposite of how you run a business. So communication has been paramount in how we run things. We want to almost productize how we run our communication, and really have a process so the client knows when they're getting touch points, when they're not getting touch points, what's going to be involved in each touch point. And then the client always knows like what if we need something from them, we get it. I had this conversation with I think this was earlier this year or earlier in 2025, where it was like, I don't ever want to hear like, oh, I'm just waiting on so and so, or I'm waiting for this, and it's we now have this funny line where it's like, just pick up the phone, pick up the phone. Email is not the best. Sometimes email is not the best way to get in touch with a club manager or something like that because they're wearing so many hats. They're putting out fires in every department. So it's like, pick up the phone. Communication is the number one feedback that we got, especially early on.
We have covered so much, and I feel like we just started talking. What are we missing? Is there anything else that you'd like to share with me here today?
I don't know, man. We covered a ton. We covered like the origin story and what we do now and what our process is and our our core values, equipment. Yeah, I mean, I think we covered most of it.
Where is the best place for those listening at home to learn more about you and Par Six, follow your work, and to reach out if they want to connect?
Yeah, I'm Instagram. So you can see like our portfolio, or you can chat with us through DMs at P6R Golf on Instagram. LinkedIn, Colby Johannson or Par Six on LinkedIn is where we're most active. Those are the channels that we frequent and that we check our actual DMs. So that would be the place to hit us up.
Well, you mentioned I've not played golf in Canada, so let's tee it up. I'll come up there and see you. Where are we playing? And more importantly, how many strokes do I get?
Yeah. We're definitely gonna go and play Sagebrush up here. We'll take you to some fun golf courses. Sagebrush is, yeah, it's this, I don't want to say it's a hidden gem. It's the number one golf course in BC. I think it's number one public golf course in BC, number six public golf course in Canada. So that would probably be where we start. And then from there we'd do a tour around BC and maybe into Alberta, into the Rockies.
Sold. When's the best time to come up there? Because I can't travel during season, but there's probably snowing where you are right now.
Yeah, you know what? Right now, I'm looking out the window, and well, yeah, I guess there's a little bit of snow. I heard that there was a golf course open in the area, but yeah, I mean, the best time to be up here is June through October. Most golf courses around here shut down around Canadian Thanksgiving, which is mid-October. And most of them open up like end of April, middle of May. So yeah, those are the times to come up. June, end of June is the best time to be here. It's great weather. It's not smoking hot, and the courses are in pristine shape.
Leaders are readers, and you said you had a stack of books there, but what book are you currently reading?
Yeah, yeah, I usually have a few on the go. I usually have one epic one and then, a couple that I run through. The current one right now is The Inner Game of Tennis. I will say I am not a tennis player, but it's such a good read. It's a good read to understand how ego gets in the way of performance, no matter whether it's tennis or golf or business or just how your ego can that little voice in your head can sabotage you really quickly. And if you can do away with that, things you just get into flow state.
Anyone alive or dead, and anywhere in the world, who is in your dream foursome, and where are you playing?
Hmm. Yeah, good question. I thought about this last night, and I thought about this last night, and I only wrote down one person, and that was my dad. So, maybe it's a twosome. Maybe we'll take on, he was always a huge Freddie Couples fan. So maybe we'll take on him and, uh, I don't know, Nick Faldo. We'll take him on it. I took my dad to Pebble Beach for his 70th birthday, so we'll go back and revisit Pebble Beach and take Freddie Couples and Nick Faldo on.
Okay, I didn't tell you this. I'm Tiger's biggest fan. I collect his memorabilia as I look around my office. He's on everything. My wallpaper on my phone is a photo of Tiger. So I'm a big fan. So be careful how you answer this because we've become quick friends here, and I don't want you to just throw it all away with this answer. He's tied with Sam Snead, 82 official PGA Tour wins. I'm done talking about the majors. Do you think he gets one more win before he retires?
Yeah, man. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if his body's capable. I would love to see him. I would love to see him do it. I'd love to see him break that record. Like when he came back 2019 Masters, um, like it was just that win came out of nowhere. It was bananas. And uh I hope he gets it. I love seeing. I in his heyday. You know, I know a lot of people were just like, oh man, Tiger Woods. They're showing Tiger Woods again. They're showing Tiger Woods again. I loved seeing him break all the records. I loved seeing him run away with some of these titles. So I hope he does. I hope he can have one last hurrah and break that record. That'd be a lot of fun.
What's next for you in Par 6 Golf Media?
Boring stuff, man. Really, like just boring stuff. We're just gonna keep executing on our strategy and bring on more destination clubs and drive more revenue for clients. I'm not into chasing, you know, shiny trends, or I call them shiny objects for the sake of keeping things exciting. So like we just had our big team meeting before Christmas, and our big priorities for 2026 is investing in simplifying. And it's just like investing in ourselves. So like investing in making time for deep work, and investing in creating space for creative thinking or strategic thinking, investing in our professional development, our relationships with our clients, deeper storytelling, investing in our client data. So yeah, it sounds really boring, but sometimes boring keeps the ship pointed in the right direction.
It's funny that you said that because I'm collaborating with a legendary retired club manager, Greg Patterson, on a white paper. And the point of this white paper is on what he calls deep sitting and what that means, and being able to turn off the world and focus on what you're doing, whether it's writing a blog post, recording a podcast, or building a budget. And look for that coming in the next couple of months. But I'll see him soon at the CMAA World Conference in Anaheim, and pretty excited to be partnering with him because I've been reading his white papers for a long time, and he's got thousands of pages of documents from his career. And just the word deep and the way that you explain that, I think you'll really enjoy the white paper that we're working on with deep sitting.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And it's really, I mean, with our phones, and we're all remote. So my entire team works across Canada. We don't have an office. So, you know, sitting in front of a computer and having your phone beside you, it's really easy to get distracted. And it's like, everything's emails coming in, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And it's, not allowing yourself that time to really sit and think about things, and giving yourself that space, or just like, really sitting down. I've challenged my team to really get into some deep work, and it's like, I want to see, 2 to 3 hour blocks where it's like you're just focused on your main priority, and that's it, and really really dig into it without any kind of distractions, no emails, no phone calls, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to read that white paper because I think it's really important.
Step into the heart of Scotland with Eden Mill Scotland Experiences. Journey through the art of craft distilling, where tradition meets innovation. From blending your own gin to savoring the finest whiskeys, every moment is a celebration of Scotland's rich heritage. Whether you're a whiskey enthusiast, a gin lover, or simply an adventurer at heart, Eden Mill offers experiences you'll never forget. Book your journey today and create memories to last a lifetime.
In golf, the 19th hole is a slang term for a bar or a restaurant on or near the golf course, very often in the clubhouse itself. You got a lot of good ones up there, but what is your favorite and what are you drinking?
I would say so. My favorite 19th hole would be the Hideout at Sagebrush Golf Club. They have a turn house that's after the 13th tee box. It's by no means an ordinary turn house. It overlooks a trout pond. So before and after your round, you can go out and you can fish. After your round, you can have drinks, play darts, fish, sit by the fire pits. You can settle bets. You can have dinner. It's one of the best spots in golf, truly. And like one of the things that you can actually do there is you can go out there and have dinner with your group if you schedule this. You can go and have dinner with your group, and then you can play a horse race into 18 at sunset, which is a lot of fun if you have a big group of people. So yeah, the Sagebrush Hideout. That would be the 19th hole for me for sure.
Thank you so much for coming on this show. Like, what an awesome conversation. You're doing some amazing things, creating some, I mean, breathtaking visuals. And I'm so pumped that you and I had the chance to chat. And I don't know when, but I hope that you and I can work on a project together. I don't know what that would look like, but who knows? But until then, you just keep up the great work, and I can't wait to see where you go from here.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you reaching out and taking an interest, and thanks for the conversations. Some great questions. This has been a lot of fun. It's like let's stay in touch here. I really want to see what you're doing, what you got coming up next.
That puts this installment of the Wednesday Match Play podcast in the books. But we'll be back next week for another exciting episode of the show.